Conversations with AiR. As most of us are aware, AiR has authored over 20 books on subjects related to spirituality, on topics like karma, the mind, God, liberation, and much more. However, my favorite happens to be his recent book on happiness, which is titled Be Happy in the Now. It's a lovely book, AiR. I'm a fan after reading this. Welcome to our show. So, as speaking about happiness, can you tell us what, according to you, is happiness, and how is it different from the general understanding of what most of us have?
Everybody wants to be happy. Who in this world doesn't want to be happy? The whole world is in a chase, and we are seeking pleasure just as we want to stay away from pain. The problem is that we don't know the meaning of happiness. We confuse happiness to be pleasure. 80% of the world thinks that happiness is achievement. It's money. It is products that makes us happy. It is places that give us happiness. It is people which make us satisfied and fulfilled.
It's always related to something outside.
Yes, but the fact is happiness is not that. Unless we realize what happiness is, it's very difficult to be happy. We are chasing happiness, and happiness is like a shadow. The more we chase it, the further it goes away. The first challenge is to understand what is happiness. Unless we understand what is happiness, unless we realize happiness is a state of being, we have to be happy. Instead of being happy, we want to get happiness. You can't get happiness. You can't go to happiness. It's not a destination. It's not a product. We have misunderstood the meaning of happiness. Therefore, since you referred the book, Be Happy in the Now, happiness is all about being in the now. Which means that you can't be happy in yesterday, it's gone. And you can't be happy in tomorrow, it's not yet born. If you want to be happy, then be happy now.
So, Be Happy in the Now, it's a beautiful title. I love it, and I read the book and I'm trying to follow whatever you're trying to say. But the problem is that, I have too many responsibilities which kind of make me worry. Like, if I have to pay my doctor's fees tomorrow, or my mom is unwell in the hospital, so I'm always shuttling between, the past and the future, which you've told us not to do. So I'm sure most of us here struggle with that. So how do you suggest that we be happy in the now?
So being happy in the now is a conscious decision. It's a philosophy of life. It's a way of life. We use our willpower. We use our realization. We use our desire for being truly happy to get to this state of being. Everybody can't be in the now. It's not as easy as, okay, I snap off, I switch off, I'm going to be in the now. No, it's not possible. Because we have a rascal up here. The rascal, I call it a monkey. It jumps from thought to thought. Yes, my daughter, my mother. The rascal is constantly jumping. What we don't realize, as the rascal mind is jumping, it's stealing our happiness. Now it's up to us. We have to make up our mind. Do we want to be happy or not? If we really want to be happy, if we really want to be happy, then that has to be a priority. And how do you make this happen? Here it is. Either the mind can be the master or I can be the master. For me to be the master, I must realize that I have a mind, a monkey that's jumping. The moment I think I am the mind, then I can't be the master. The mind becomes the master. The mind takes me to yesterday. The mind takes me to tomorrow. The mind takes me to a problem. The mind makes me fear. The mind makes me worry. And I believe that I have no command of the mind. If you do not have a command of the mind, then obviously the mind is holding you and you are like a puppet. The mind is making you dance. The mind is taking you to all kinds of fear, worry, misery, anxiety. And then you feel helpless. But stop for a moment. Stop and be in the now. Be conscious. Be blissful. Be peaceful. Okay, there's something to attend to tomorrow. We need to plan, but we don't need to worry. There's a difference between planning and worrying. What is the difference? If we are planning, we are conscious of this moment, we realize this is what we need to do, we need to think, we need to plan, but we are not constantly thinking 100 thoughts about that. What if this doesn't happen? What if this problem happens? What if... No, that is worrying. That is not planning. That is letting the rascal monkey to hijack us. And it steals our happiness.
True.
So you have to slowly, steadily make it a habit to be conscious in the now.
Okay, but if I want to be happy, and people close to me are in some kind of trouble or suffering, or there is some sort of misery experienced by people who are dear to me. So is it not wrong for me to then be happy when there's so much suffering outside?
The world will have all kinds of suffering, misfortune, misery all the time. There may be a death. So you have two choices: to go and to mourn and to be unhappy. But if you're conscious, if you are resolved that you want to be happy, you know that death is over. You can do nothing about it. The person has died, the person has gone. What do? We remain in the past and we nurse and curse and rehearse. How can we be happy? Now, I know what you're trying to say. People are mourning, people are crying. You can't say, okay, I'm happy. No, happiness is not what you show. Happiness is a state of being. The foundation of happiness is peace. So something's going wrong with your near and dear ones. You be compassionate, you feel for them, but internally your consciousness is peaceful. You don't lose your foundation of joy. You remain peaceful in the now, moment by moment. You know the person has passed away. Nothing you can do, nothing in the world is going to change that. Then what's the point of being miserable? If you like to be miserable, then good luck. I don't. I have taught myself to remain happy no matter what.
That's great. There's a lot for us to learn from you. So, moving on to the first point that you had mentioned, that we associate or add some object to our happiness, and that essentially is expectations. So, as human beings, is it really possible to lead a life without expectations?
No, it's a choice. See, having expectations is natural. But we also understand one thing. Can all expectations be fulfilled? For example, I'm a world champion. I'm playing golf. I want to be the world champ. I play. I'm happy. I'm a champion. I play. I'm happy. I'm a champion. Then one game I lose. I become so miserable. Now look at this. There's no harm in playing and wanting to be a champion.
Yeah.
But having an expectation of being a world champion is disastrous. Because the moment that expectation rules our life, we are sure, today or tomorrow or next week or next year, we are sure to be disappointed. The best of the best, the richest of the richest, the most successful people in the world, they cannot be successful all the time. And we have to be careful not to let expectations drive us. Suppose we have an attitude, I'll play my game. If I'm a champion, great. If I'm not a champion, it's fine. The challenge, therefore, is not to let expectations drive us. The challenge is let excellence drive us. Let's do our best. There's no harm in being a champion. But let's not get the disappointment. Let's not be heartbroken when we fail. Look at people who fail. The best of the best people, they close their eyes. They shut off from the world because they've lost it. The biggest, the most successful people, the most richest people in the world, they can't digest it because their ego wants to succeed all the time. The expectation gets tied down to their ego. It's a big thing for them. They can't accept failure. And how can you not fail? Eventually one day, once in a way we fail. That's the problem.
Okay, on this, most of our users, they've been writing to us on AiR, and when you say this, that you shouldn't associate happiness with like an end goal, are you telling them to not have, targets in life? I mean, that's something we keep getting questions on.
So it's not that we should not have targets in life, but the moment we become so passionate, so obsessed with our targets, with our goals, we are letting happiness take a back seat. So let's look at it. In this world today, there are people, there are happy people and there are successful people. The successful people think that success is happiness, but they're not happy. They have goals, they achieve their goals. Momentarily they are happy. Yay, I did it. But then, back in their mind, they're not happy. But there are people who don't have goals. Not that they are the nobodies of the world. They have what I term as noteworthy success. They're good. They have done well for themselves. They've achieved some things. But they're not crazy, obsessed, mad about achievement. They are far happier than the millionaires and the billionaires of the world. If you come to think of it, if money equals happiness, if success equals happiness, then the rich and the successful people in the world should be glad. But you look out and see, you will see that most of them are sad. Suicides happen in the millionaires and the billionaires' homes in the world. Why? Because this is a misunderstanding. So to answer your question again, it's nothing wrong, it's no harm having goals. But being mad about a goal, being crazy about a goal, living your life just being obsessed to achieve a goal, that's not good.
And you've written an entire book on the mind, about it being a rascal and how the mind steals our happiness. So the mind is always prompting and sending thoughts and triggering us for memories. So how do we transcend this mind? It's a big challenge.
So the problem is we don't differentiate between me and my mind. So we think we are the mind. As long as we think we are the mind, we can't be on top of the mind. Most people think, they don't think that, oh, I have a mind. Although in reality we have a body, we are not the body, we have a mind, we are not the mind. This is the problem. So the moment we want to transcend the mind, we want to kill the mind, we need to separate ourselves. We are that divine consciousness. We are that person who is thinking through the mind. But we also have an intellect. Now if you look at it, the intellect is the filter. Okay. The intellect tells the mind, this is right, this is wrong. This will make me happy, this will make me sad. So if the intellect is in command, then the mind is controlled. Most of the time, the mind, it just bulldozes the intellect. Boom, the mind is just going. You know why? The mind is thinking practically one thought a second. So imagine you're sitting, boom, boom, boom. Your mind is thinking, oh, this, oh, that. 50 thoughts a minute, up to 50,000 thoughts a day. No, it's just like a fish that's zooming in the water. But the same thing, if this mind is made calm, we reduce the MTR, the mental thought rate, and we cut the mind. People say, I have anxiety. Mm-hmm. What is anxiety? Anxiety is the constant tuk, 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 this mind that goes on and on and on. And what do doctors give you? Doctors give you a tranquilizer that reduces this thought. They put you to sleep. But if we are conscious about it, we have to cut this mind from bulldozing us with thoughts and use the intellect. So it's a two-pronged method. Reduce the production of thought and discriminate thought. Right, wrong, do, don't do. This makes me happy, this makes me sad. The moment we have got a command on that, then we can't kill the mind, but we can transcend the mind. In the book I say kill the mind before the mind kills you, but what I really mean is go on top of it. Let me give you a small example. It's just like this body is run with 5 horses. So there are 5 horses. What are the 5 horses? Our 5 senses. We see, we hear, we smell, we taste, and we touch. Now these 5 senses are like 5 horses. They are running. Here, there, you see this, you taste this, you touch this. And the reins of these horses are the mind. If the mind is holding these horses, then the mind is of course connected to these horses and is going with the horses. But if you let loose of the reins, the horses will go wild. We are the charioteer. We are the one who is riding the chariot. We hold the reins. We hold the reins that control these 5 senses, the 5 horses, and we take command of it. So that is what is written in the scriptures. And we need to take command of the mind.
Right. So, for people like me who find this a little hard, are there any steps? So when I'm shuttling between past and the present, how do you ask your mind to keep quiet? Do you actually meditate? Do you sit in silence, or do you listen to music? Because we want to practice these things, everything that you're telling us in your books, but how do we do that?
There is a simple way. You mentioned so many ways, but I'm asking for a very simple thing. Sit in silence, starting 5 minutes every day in the morning, 5 minutes every day in the evening, preferably at the same time, in the same place. Just sit in silence. Shh. Just shut off. When you sit in silence, it's a challenge for the mind to think. And sit in silence with your eyes closed, preferably no music. Don't let some delicious food smell come into your nose. No, your nostrils should not be attracted towards something. So here you are, you've shut off, you're sitting in silence. This will reduce your pace. Slow down your pace, slow down your pace. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. If you've done it, great. Make it 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. Great. 15, 30. The moment you learn to be silent, that's the greatest, the best way. Don't think meditation means that you sit like this and you fold your legs and you hold a position and you do all that and your backbone is straight and your mind is wandering all over the place. That's not meditation. That's fashionable meditation. Real meditation is you can be sitting quietly in a relaxed chair and being silent. Only challenge is don't fall asleep. And if you fall asleep, then wake up again and get back into silence.
Great, thank you for that. I'll start with 5 minutes because it seems more doable. So thank you for that. Moving on, AiR, the next level of happiness you said in your talks and your status messages I've noticed is bliss. So we are still trying to reach the happiness state, but can you tell us about this bliss that you have experienced and how you've gotten to that state of blissfulness?
Happiness is 3 peaks. The first peak of happiness is called achievement. It's about pleasure, achievement, products. But the whole world is on this highway called achievement. But this doesn't give you happiness. So you have to take an exit from this highway of achievement and you have to drive to the peak of fulfillment. It comes with contentment. What's the difference? Achievement gives you pleasure.
Okay.
Fulfillment gives you peace. So we all want pleasure, but we don't want our life to be driven by pleasure. But the problem is this. If you exit from achievement, then you get fulfilled. Your life is not driven by greed, but it is fulfilled by your need. So you're peaceful. You're also achieving some little pleasures of life. It's not that you become a renunciate, a sannyasi sitting and doing nothing. No. So you have achieved some amount of success, but you've moved out of that passion for success and you're living a life of peace. But the problem is, problems still strike you. There are 3 levels of problems. 1, physical pain. 2, mental suffering. And 3, the agony of the ego. These 3 See, three types of suffering.
Mental and ego is not the same?
No. Mental is the mind.
Okay.
Ego is a combination of I. The difference is that the mind will worry. The ego will get angry. The ego will say, how dare, I told you to do this. How dare you did not do it. Now this is I. This is the illusory personality that we are. But the mind will silently kill you. You'll be sitting and you'll be worried and you'll be sweating. There's no ego involved here. The mind is having mental misery. Now the bliss that you spoke about, that is transcending suffering. That is going beyond the suffering of the body, the mind and the ego. And this comes with the realization of the truth. If you realize the truth, then you are liberated from misery because you lead to a state of enlightenment. Enlightenment is when you overcome the ignorance. Most of us, we are ignorant. What are we ignorant about? We are ignorant about life. We are ignorant about the fact that eventually nothing belongs to us. We are ignorant about the fact that all relationships, everything will finally end. We also don't realize that love is a fountain of joy. Peace is a foundation of happiness. We are not living with peace, with love. We are just running like mad people. We are chasing happiness. And the more we chase happiness, the more it goes away. So if you want bliss, bliss means there must be peace. Bliss means there must be love. Bliss means there must be joy. There must be contentment. There must be fulfillment. We use bliss and happiness as the same, right? But there's a lot of difference. Happiness is momentary. Contentment lasts much longer. But bliss is a state of ananda. It's a state of eternal joy, everlasting peace. You reach a state of happiness when nothing matters. You reach a state of bliss, of joy, that ecstasy, where you don't need anything. You don't need something to be happy. You are already happy. You are happy all the time.
Thank you, and thank you so much for spreading happiness, and we look forward to more conversations with you.